Hello everybody, welcome to Football Talks. This is our football paper roundup that we do every day, well, every week on the channel. Sunday mornings, looking through all of the tabloids, looking at everything story-wise around. And today's top stories have to be, and starting in one place, it is the sack race. Who is favourite to leave? Who is favourite to be the next one on the chopping block? Believe it or not, we are 6 games into the season and we are already 2 managers down. And it has been a bit of a managerial merry-go-round. We're looking at the pressures of what the managers are under in the morning show today. Looking at Ange Postecoglou, no wins in 5 from being appointed at Nottingham Forest. Nuno, who was sacked and the first out of the door this summer, now in at West Ham. Can he turn West Ham around after Graham Potter was sacked indeed? Nuno wanting to go back and actually overtake Nottingham Forest within his first couple of games. Wouldn't that be a turnaround for Mazarakis at Nottingham Forest after what happened there? It is all up in the air. Of course, Ruben Amorim now is right at the top, and we're going to look at that, at the odds for the managers and who is out. Does Unai Emery have to win today? He got the win in Europe the other day. Is that enough to keep him afloat? There is all sorts going on around the Premier League at the moment, and it is pressure cooker time already for every single manager in the Prem. Give me your thoughts on who you think is under pressure right now. Who is the next manager out of the door? I'll get your thoughts in. We're going to bring them up in the live chat as well this morning. Welcome along to Football Talks, everybody. If you are new to the channel, make sure that you do just pop a like on the video and hit that subscribe button. They're completely free and help the channel out. We've been running it from the start of this year. It's doing great. It's really progressing. I just want to say a massive thank you again to everyone from FUTV who's come across, and all of the new team fans as well that are now subscribed also. We've got quite a few of them. Liverpool lose their first game yesterday as well. Arsenal have the chance to actually take advantage of this as well. It's going to be an interesting weekend indeed in terms of turning around. In fact, it's hard where to start with the managerial sack race. We've just done a big piece obviously on FUTV about Ruben Amorim, and he is the favourite to leave. He is the favourite for being sacked. And when you go through it, look at it. I'm just going to bring up the odds right now, actually, so everyone's aware of who's actually in line for this. So, Ruben Amorim right now is favourite to be sacked by Manchester United. He's the next on the block. 8-13 on. I think that was an obvious one. The surprising one for me is actually the manager in the opposite dugout yesterday, Keith Andrews at Brentford. He's actually 4th favourite to be sacked. I'm like, after a result like that, how is Keith Andrews actually even in the top 5 right now? But Ruben Amorim, obviously, but Ange Postecoglou, what a turnaround this is actually going to be. Because when you look at it, he's come in. Obviously, you had the hope. Obviously, you've got the thinking in that he can just take over this side. Everyone had their doubts about the players that Nottingham Forest have got. Can they actually cope with an Ange Postecoglou style? Can Ange Postecoglou be a little bit more pragmatic? I mean, that, again, on its own, that's a big ask. And we've seen signs of it. But when you look at the league table right now, for instance, Nottingham Forest, they are currently 16th in the league. They were beaten yesterday by Sunderland, who miraculously have moved up to 4th in the table, level on points with Tottenham in 2nd place, only out there by goal difference. It is the weirdest looking top 5 you're ever going to see ever at the moment. We'll get on that in a minute. But Nottingham Forest, Ange Postecoglou, 5 games in now, no wins for Ange Postecoglou. When do you get worried as a Nottingham Forest fan that this is not going to work straight away? Ange had a bad reputation last season with Spurs finishing 17th. He's coming to Nottingham Forest. He hasn't got a win yet. There was positive signs in parts in that game against Real Betis in the Europa League on Thursday night. We covered it here on the channel. It was all right, but in the end, they ended up bottling it and losing, or not losing, but losing that goal in the last few minutes to get just a draw. It's a creditable draw, and that's not anything to be sniffed at. But Ange Postecoglou in at Nottingham Forest, if West Ham win their next game, where former Forest manager Nuno is now, they leapfrog Nottingham Forest instantly. And West Ham are awful this season. Absolutely awful this season. And you look at the games as well. Like, Obviously, Everton away tomorrow night is Nuno's first game for West Ham. Well, it's reportedly going to be the manager. But, I mean, look, it's inevitable that it's going to happen. I'm looking at that there on Monday night. If West Ham manage to get anything at Everton and they leapfrog Nottingham Forest, straight away as a Nottingham Forest fan, you're thinking the ownership has completely ballsed up here. It would be a complete spin around. What a story that would be. Well, you got Nuno Espirito Santo, who wasn't happy with what was happening. The inclusion of Edu, I think, was a big problem in the sporting director position at Nottingham Forest. And he opened up. He spoke out loud, and that's it. You can't do that with owners. And he basically signed himself away from Nottingham Forest at that point. He was done. And I think the performances followed in after that as well. But him turning up to West Ham would be a great story. If he could turn them around and then do better than what Ange is at Nottingham Forest. Sometimes you get what you deserve in football. I think this, for Mazarakis, would be justice for a lot of people, to be honest. And I know the Nottingham Forest fans are backing their owner right now. He's made a decision. But I think that will turn very, very quickly if Nuno starts getting West Ham up that league table. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. But again, Ange Postecoglou losing at home to Sunderland. Now, I'm not saying that Sunderland are a bad side, but 22 shots off the back of 65% possession for Nottingham Forest tells you that they were probably a little bit unlucky in that. Passing accuracy was right up there as well for Forest. But look, there's something not quite clicking. And that, I think, is... It's not like they've not got a belief in the manager. It's not like they don't believe in what Ange is saying or anything like that. But what you've got to look at there, I think, is... Personally, I just look at Ange and that team that he's got at Nottingham Forest, and I feel like he is going to have to change a little bit. I see Ange football there in creating chances, not taking chances, and trying to dominate games possession-wise like he did. Like full-on, win the ball back high, attacking, aggressive football. That's what I see there in that game. But this is what happened with Spurs last season. This is what happened with his Spurs side. And until he went a bit pragmatic in the Europa League, then it didn't work for him. And that's the only way that I think he can survive in this. But I just think it's a good story to bring up. But Ange Postecoglou are right up there at the moment. It's crazy. He's only just took the job, but he's second favourite, by the way. Second favourite to lose at 6-1 his job next. Unai Emery, on top of that, does he need to get a win? Is it important for Unai Emery to get a win today? He's at home to Fulham, 2 o'clock kickoff. Would you expect Aston Villa to beat Fulham? Fulham are a good side. Fulham are a very, very good side right now. And when you look at, for instance, when you look at where Fulham actually are in the league table right now, if Fulham win today, Fulham could actually go into the top 4 as well, which is ridiculous. When I said the top 4 at the moment is crazy, listen to this. Liverpool, top of the league, obviously, we know about them. That's the one staple you would say in there. Then it's Crystal Palace, Tottenham, Sunderland, Bournemouth, and Fulham will join that top 5-6 if they win at Aston Villa today. And then you've got Manchester City and Arsenal and Chelsea, 6th, 7th and 8th so far this season. Madness when you look at it. It really is. And I feel there, looking at all the big clubs, Arsenal, of course, are playing Newcastle today. By the way, Eddie Howe, and Manchester United fans wanting Eddie Howe, when you look at results, and it's a results-based game, if Eddie Howe's Newcastle do not win at home today against Arsenal, then he has had a worse start to the season than Ruben Amorim. 1 win in 5 so far for Eddie Howe, and Newcastle sat 15th. If they lose to Arsenal today, that's them sat on 6 points. And you could be talking a couple of points out the relegation zone here for Newcastle. So we're talking about what's happening here. Is it about style of football? Is it about what you're watching on the pitch? Because Eddie Howe's team obviously do play a better brand of football than what Manchester United do. And what a few other teams down there in the bottom half of the table. Is it all just simply about results right now? Ange Postecoglou dominates a game against Sunderland. and still comes away with 0 points. Is the pragmatic side of a Nuno Espirito Santo going to win the day here? Because that was what got them into Europe last season. Not being too fancy, not being too complicated with his tactics, no ticky-tacky football, pressing, high press. They were bottom of the stats for everything in terms of press, in terms of progression, possession in the opposition's half of the pitch. It was full-on counter-attacking football. It suited Nottingham Forest down to the ground. And are we seeing here a old school type of football coming back into the Premier League, and results are getting managers sacked, even if it's pretty on the eye? Let's just say, for instance, look at the teams there that are in that top half of the table. Crystal Palace yesterday were just organised and counterattacked that Liverpool side yesterday. They punished them. They absolutely did. They punished them. And they're unbeaten. The only team unbeaten so far this season. You look at what's going on with Thomas Frank and that pragmatism that he has brought to Tottenham Hotspur. Yes, that was a bad draw yesterday against Wolves. You'd expect them to beat Wolves, but they are still sat in the Champions League places, third in the table. Pragmatism wins the day again. And you've got Sunderland coming in and their start to the season. Not doing anything fancy. They've only scored 7 goals all season. The same amount of goals of what Manchester United have scored this season. But just being organised and disciplined, they've got the results. They're in the Champions League places. So it isn't about the style of football anymore. Arne Slot, and this is something else that I wanted to pick up on yesterday. Arne Slot talking, and he highlighted the Manchester United game against Brentford in his post-match press conference against Crystal Palace yesterday. So he was talking about how they lost. Liverpool lost to a long throw-in in injury time against Crystal Palace. It was about the 98th minute. We were on Football Talks covering it yesterday. It was crazy. And Nketiah getting the goal, helping his old side Arsenal out and all of that story. But Arne Slot was talking about the long throw-ins, the set pieces, the corners, the free kicks, dominating football again. Have you noticed this? Arne Slot is right in what he's saying here. It has come back into the game. Look at what Arsenal did last season. How many points they earned from set pieces. Look at them long throw-ins that everybody's doing now. Like what Brentford did to United yesterday. What Crystal Palace did to Liverpool yesterday. Corners, set piece coaches. The game has gone back in time. Pragmatism and being solid have crept back into the Premier League again. Has it done a full cycle here? And look at the managers that are suffering because of this old school type of tactic coming in. And look at the ones that are thriving. Who'd have thought Nuno would have been right up there and his stock would have gone up in going to Nottingham Forest? Even calling out the ownership and then getting a job 2 minutes later after being sacked. It's crazy. It is, isn't it? Look at the managers that have got a certain philosophy and a style. Look at Ruben Amorim, 14th in the league. And then look who's ahead of him. You're looking at Daniel Farke at Leeds, who actually, when you look at it, was still just about in a job after getting promoted. He's better than Ruben Amorim this season at Manchester United. He's better than Eddie Howe at Newcastle so far this season. David Moyes and Everton, by the way. Everton could go top 6 if they beat West Ham on Monday night. That's David Moyes, another pragmatic manager coming into the Premier League again for how many times now with a different team. Look at what's happening to the Premier League. The football, I think, I'm not saying that the football has got worse, but look at how teams are winning games now. It's completely different. Completely different. You had the Iriola-style football, the irresistible, organised, fast-flowing, attacking, speedy, powerful players up against a robust, solid Leeds United. And even Bournemouth came unstuck late on in that game and couldn't see it over the line. You look at what's happening to Brighton and Hertzler. He's organised. The football's fantastic to watch. But until Chelsea went down to 10 men, it was Chelsea's game. They weren't doing much more. This is where the football is at right now. And get into the comments on this one. Talk to me about the managers that you think are going to succeed because of their style, who you think is going to be next out of their club as well. Everybody, please put your comments in, and obviously make sure that you do get likes on the video also, please, everybody. get into the comments. Let's pick out a few of these. Only reasons Amorim survives longer than the other two managers in the poll is because our ownership is clueless and indecisive. That's a good point to make. Like, you look at what people have been talking about with Mazarakis and what he's done with Nuno, and you could easily say that has actually proved to be the right decision in the end. He's not waited around. He's not allowed it. He's committed to what he wants. And if you blindly back someone, like United have done before with other managers as well, you can find yourself falling further and further behind. Diverse Son says, Adam, what is bad? Amorim is worse manager or Ineos don't want to sack him. Well, you can split hairs between that one. That one's a tough one. It's a 50-50 shout, isn't it? Indy says Maresca has to be in contention for the sack too. In terms of Maresca, he was the next one on the list actually. Maresca is 5th favourite to get the sack at Chelsea now after their recent form. Maresca 12-1 now to get the sack. He's nowhere near everybody else at the top. Obviously, you're looking at Ruben Amorim. The interesting one is Victor Pereira at Wolves. I don't know if this was because of that spirited draw at Spurs yesterday, but he's 12-1. And they still haven't got a win yet this season. So, yeah, you could say that that's a shock one, really, as well, when you look at it. But no, the fact that Eddie Howe, in the position that he's in the league, is way, way down the pecking order at 33-1. That is scary, really, when you look at it. If he loses today, and that's the point I'm trying to make here as well with this, you're looking at the style of football against the results here. And it's kind of mixed up a little bit because Maresca's not doing a bad job at all at Chelsea. A couple of wins puts them straight back up there. They're the world champions. Everybody was talking about them in the summer. They thought they spent well. They should have bought a couple of centre-backs, to be honest. But, yeah, I do believe that Chelsea will come good again. I think Newcastle will come good again. It's the other managers, the surprise packages in the other clubs that we're looking at here, I think, that you have to talk about. I do believe that the likes of David Moyes, Nuno, Thomas Franks, the pragmatic managers, just the organised, straightforward, simplistic managers with the straightforward instructions are now thriving again in the Premier League. Set pieces, long balls, big man up front, two strikers, simple 90s style football creeping back into the Premier League again. Hopefully we can get marauding wingers who just put the ball in the box and don't cut back all the time. And we can get back to some exciting football again. But until then, I'm happy that these managers are having their day, to be honest. And they're showing up some of these so-called high-quality, new-age style coaches with this certain style and continental football that they're bringing into the Premier League. I think they're being found out a little bit by some of the old pragmatism styles of the older school managers now. And it's good. It's good to see. It is. I mean, you look at the managers, for instance, that have been sacked and come back and are doing well in the Premier League. That alone should tell you that they have learned from their mistakes and have come back and tried to keep it simple. David Moyes, how many times has he been sacked and come back? Look at Nuno Espirito Santo, like we just said, sacked and come back. Will Ange Postecoglou do the same thing? Sacked and come back and finally learn as well. This is the test, and why we're talking about the likes of Ange Postecoglou being up there, because unless he does learn, he will be gone again. You look at that's there, and you can see that happening. David Moyes, I said Nuno Espirito Santo. There's a few managers that have been sacked and come back to the Premier League. Look at Marco Silva at Fulham, like we said. Sacked by Everton, comes back, and now hitting it off at Fulham. It's learn. And if you don't adapt to the Premier League, it will swallow you up whole and spit you out. And these continental managers coming in with these new snazzy styles, and I'm not just doing this because of Ruben Amorim and things like this, they cannot hack it in the Premier League. The intensity does not allow for that type of football anymore. And we are winning now. We are seeing old school managers come back and actually having a real good go in the Premier League. And it's proven with what's happening in the Prem right now. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's going to last, but they are more competitive. There isn't one gimme team in the league anymore. Everybody in this league can beat everybody. And that's why managers are not going to get the time to implement their systems because they are going to get found out. And if they don't adapt, then they are cooked. It's as simple as that. Unfortunately, the world has become so woke that it's even spilling over into the Premier League players. Our colonel says, we were told that Ruben wanted to quit after the Europa Cup defeat, but realised this backroom staff wouldn't be compensated since he was trying to get himself sacked. Let's see a few more. Keep your comments coming. I'm just going to jump into all of these right now. Anyone you want to pick out that you think has done good or deserves to be sacked or time is up, get into the comments with that, please, everyone. Hey, Adam, let's go for Big Sam at United. Oh, you do a better job than Ruben right now. Big Sam. How would Big Sam set United up? There's a question. Should do that on FUTV later on as well. I guarantee he will have 2 strikers, one off Benjamin Sesko as the big man up front. Get it into the big man, play a 4-4-2, get it out to the wingers and cross it. I tell you what, United would actually be dangerous. We would be dangerous playing like that because we would be a right handful. You could actually have Mbeumo one side, Cunha the other side. You could have Bruno just behind Benjamin Sesko, and then you could have 2 proper holding midfield players in there as well. And then Bruno could drop in when necessary just to actually make that midfield up. You'd have fullbacks that were actually playing fullback and 2 centre-backs that were comfortable. Honestly, like his system might actually work for the players that Man United have actually got. So yeah, bring Big Sam in. Big Sam will do a job. Ruben wants the compensation, not solely for himself, more for his staff that went with him to United. Bring Rude back. Big Sam will be talking to his mate Fergie. Honestly, like interim managers at Manchester United, you never know. Sunderland going to be a tough game for you next week. From what they're in at the moment, form they're in at the moment. Says Adam. Oh, mate, Adam. Honestly, I am worried. I'm worried about Sunderland. I think we'll scrape a win again for the same reasons we got the win against Chelsea, not for the way we play, just pure desperation in front of the home fans and needing to get a win and scraping something over the line. That is about it. That's the only thing I can say. And the only reasoning behind me thinking that United might actually get a win against Sunderland. But I've got nothing else. And nothing else at all to back up that argument. It's pure luck and hope more than anything else. Chelsea yesterday. I tell you what, did anybody see the incident with Caicedo yesterday? How are the PGMOL not even looking into that? The most blatant headbutt, from what I've seen from the video. Has anybody seen that fracas, that incident with Caicedo yesterday? Chelsea lost the plot yesterday, big time. And they're being found out. Temperaments are being tested at Chelsea right now. There is a story around that's doing the rounds as well that Cole Palmer is not happy with his position at Chelsea right now. The players they brought in, Hato, not good enough. Where is Gittins? What's happened to Garnacho? The money that they have spent has been completely wasted on players that are just not good enough. Honestly, it's like Chelsea could have found themselves wasting a whole summer here when they should have been doubling down on really going forward and challenging. Maresca, I think, is going to be in trouble. I really do think he's going to be in trouble soon if he doesn't get it sorted. If you've got your best player who's unhappy, you've got players losing their heads, you've got a centre-back partnership which isn't good enough, quite clearly, because Man United took advantage of that centre-back partnership, and that is saying something. Trust me on this. Where is Reece James playing? Is he a midfielder or is he a fullback? Cucurella is a hothead, good fullback, but he's gettable. I don't actually rate Chelsea at all at the moment. They should be doing better, but the players that they've got, when you look at it, what a waste of a summer for Chelsea. What a waste of a summer. Gray says it'll be a 4-4-2 for Sam. Bring it on, mate. Bring it on. I don't mind that at all. Sesko Xerxes, for me, in a 4-4-2, Bruno wouldn't even get in, says John. Shout. Okay, 2 big men up front. That, you know what? We'd be a threat, wouldn't we? I mean, Xerxes can head a ball as well. What was the reason for no red for the Brentford playoff? Oh God, that was a ridiculous summary from the referee. He said because he didn't have control of the ball. That's why Mbumo, that's why Collins wasn't sent off for the foul on Mbumo. It's ridiculous. He's not got control of the ball because he's being fouled. Is why. That's what you got to say. And Maresca most probably has no say in the recruitment, solely on the football director and the management, who only recruit young potential players. You will have some form of say. I do get what you mean by that. The sporting control of Chelsea is definitely in charge there. We know that is. In a way, there's an element of that might go a long way with Manchester United as well. But I just don't see it ever coming in. To be honest, I just look at it now with all the managers in the Premier League. Unless you've got that full understanding, ownership, and a connection with your sporting director, which nearly every single club has got, you're not going to survive. Like Arne Slot at Liverpool has got it. I think Arteta with Arsenal and Berto, he has got it as well. I think there is an understanding there of what is necessary. I actually think Eddie Howe has got it at Newcastle. They're the ones that are safe. Everybody else, and I mean everybody else, is on a knife edge. Even Glasner right now, to a certain degree, with Parish at Crystal Palace, and that set up there, that I don't think that is completely stable. I think Palace are where they are because of Glasner and his coaching. That is a guy there that has got the most. In fact, actually, let's go as far as to saying at Bournemouth, to a certain degree, they have an understanding level, although I think they should have invested more from what they sold. And again, Iraola working wonders for the ownerships. Like, they're why I feel that the managers like Iraola and Glasner will get taken away by other clubs and they won't ever get sacked, because they are saving them clubs fortunes by producing football even when their best players are sold. Constantly doing that and getting results. You look at what was taken from Bournemouth this season and what they've recruited back in. You look at the same with Crystal Palace and where they are right now. Both in the top 5, doing really well. And that's with players being taken out. Their managers will be taken away and the clubs will be compensated. They're never going to sack their managers. They know what they've got and they will sit on them because they know that another club is going to come in and take them and they're going to get the compensation. I actually fully believe that the likes of Palace and Bournemouth are already recruiting new managers because Iraola and Glasner will not last at them clubs. One big club, two big clubs will come in and take their managers away. They will. They are right at the top of the tree at the moment with stocks as high as it could possibly be. The other end, we're talking about the Rubens, the Emerys, the Postecoglou's. They need results. Like Emery, again, is another manager who has left and come back into the Premier League and is doing better, having learnt from it. I think Emery will be all right. I think he'll get some results and start to move up that table. And that, I think, is going to keep him in a job. But even at the end of this season, I think Emery might be taken away from Aston Villa. I do. I think his job right now is definitely up for grabs as well. His services are up for grabs, sorry. I think he's another one. Let's get some more. Glasner is the best manager we got. Parish, give him a lifetime contract. Yeah, I would as well, mate, if I was you. The first half against Liverpool was just insane. Palace should have scored 5 goals in 45 minutes. I said in my reaction, and I said it in the watch-along yesterday, Mateta on Alisson. Alisson, wow. That man is the best keeper in the league. He is phenomenal. Honestly. There was a move in that game that Palace did, and it worked out. I think it was between Sarr, Wharton, and Mateta, where Sarr worked it in from the left-hand side, played it across to Adam Wharton, who then laid it back in across into the centre, just outside the box, to Mateta, who was in a better position. Wharton not being greedy, Sarr not being greedy, and understanding and pure coaching at the highest level to then allow Mateta to curl a shot in that was about a millimetre away from going into the top corner. It was fantastic football. But Alisson is worth his weight in gold. That's one thing I will say. And if you are going to win anything, you need a top quality keeper. And you know what? Even Dean Henderson at Crystal Palace at the moment is worth more than the majority of goalkeepers in the Premier League. I tell you what, Dean Henderson is miles better than anything Man United have got in our squad at the moment, and we got rid of him. I know David De Gea was there at the time. That was incomparable. But again, like Dean Henderson taking advantage of a situation, and he's now lauded and loved at Crystal Palace. And look what Crystal Palace have done. They're capable of beating anybody. They beat City in the FA Cup. They beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. They beat Liverpool again, the first defeat of the season. Crystal Palace are unbeaten this season. 0 defeats. And they've played some tough games as well. Madness. Anyway, that is our show this morning, everybody. Quick roundup. That went really quick, that. Please get your comments in below. Let me know who you think is next on the sacking block. Get them comments in below, everybody. Tell me who you think is the next manager out. Who is the next manager to make that big move up in the Premier League as well? Who's going to be taken by one of the big clubs as well because they're doing so well? Is it a Hertzler? Is it a Glasner? Is it a Marco Silva? Or even, could it be somebody like, I don't know, let's just say a David Moyes again with all of the pragmatism coming back into football? I'm just putting it out there. You let me know. Get your comments in below, everybody. Please give the video a like. Make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. Also, it is free and it helps the channel out massively. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you all later on for the watch-along. Arsenal versus Newcastle, St. James's Park. We're here starting around about 4:15 later on, everybody. Be here for that one. It should be an interesting one. Cheers, everybody. See you all later on.